Good evening, everyone. It is Give me 1 minute. My Fitbit just died. Where is Okay. So it is 8:53 p.m. and it is January 25th. So, guess who had a really great day today? You guessed it. This guy. So, our last client today, we had our last one at 7. They're a couple. Their name is Robert and Lisa. And they're older, probably mid-50s. And today we gave them a nice shoulder workout. And today they were telling me about how they have a lot more energy than they used to have before. And they can't seem to go to sleep at the same time they usually go to. And you say it's like their mind is tired, but their body is just like, hey, let's go do something. So they were just asking me things they could do before bed, that they could, go out for a walk. Sorry, my nephew, he came in here, was looking at me, seeing what we were doing. But we explained to them that going for a walk is great. It'll definitely set the mood, especially for before going to bed. And since it is nighttime, they can look at the moon, see the stars, enjoy the night. It's nice and quiet, and yeah, it's a win-win. It made me feel so good hearing that, because now we know that for a fact that we really are doing what we set out to do, which is to help people and to change people's lives for the better, health-wise, mentally-wise. Because training, you're not just training the body, you're training the mind. Sorry, I'm just listening to my nephew. He keeps going, shh, shh. It's kind of funny. But, yeah, with that being said, I also want to add that there used to be 3 trainers. Now there's only 2, me and the guy that was there before. And the other trainer, they ended up letting go. I don't know what happened. I thought they told me they were transferring him to another gym. Then another coworker told me that they ended up just getting rid of him. They ended up giving me all his clients, so we ended up getting a good boost there. And tomorrow I'm pretty full. I have 5 or 6 clients I'm gonna need to train first thing in the morning. I gotta be there by 8:30. Well, actually by 8. So we're gonna leave around 7:30, and so we gotta get up a little bit extra earlier than we normally do. We usually get up around 6:30. And this time, since our clientele is building, we gotta keep building, and then it means less sleep time, more work time, and we know just as long as we stay in the process that everything will be okay, and as long as we keep doing what we're supposed to do, then we cannot fail, because God is with us. The universe is with us, me and you, and God is on our side. And there's nothing that God will put us through or have us go through that He's not going to be seeing us through to the other side. So, Chapter 2 of our lovely book, The Science of Being Well by Wallace D. Wattles, The Foundations of Faith. Before man can think in a certain way which will cause his disease to be healed, he must believe in certain truths which are here stated. All things are made from one living substance, which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe, while all visible things are made from it. Yet this substance, in its first formless condition, is in and through all the visible forms that it has made. Its life is in all, and its intelligence is in all. This substance creates by thought, and its method is by taking the form of that which it thinks about. The thought of a form held by the substance causes it to assume that form. The thought of emotion causes it to institute that motion. Forms are created by this substance in moving itself into certain orientations or positions. When original substance wishes to create a given form, it thinks of the motions which will produce that form. When it wishes to create a world, it thinks of the motions, perhaps extending through ages, which will result in its coming into the attitude and form of the world, and these motions are made. When it wishes to create an oak tree, it thinks of the sequences of movement, perhaps extending through ages, which will result in the form of an oak tree, and these motions are made. The particular sequences of motions by which differing forms should be produced were established in the beginning. They are changeless. Certain motions instituted in the formless substance will forever produce certain forms. Man's body is formed from the original substance, and is the result of certain motions, which first existed as thoughts of original substance. The motions which produce, renew, and repair the body are called functions, and these functions are of two classes, voluntary and involuntary. The involuntary functions are under the control of the principle of health in man, and are performed in a perfectly healthy manner so long as man thinks in a certain way. Now that is very interesting that he just said that the voluntary and then the involuntary, because the conscious and the subconscious mind. I learned in class while going to school, when preparing for our NASM to be a trainer, we went over anatomy, we went over the structure of the body, and when he just said this, the motions which produce, renew, and repair the body are called functions, and these functions are of two classes, voluntary and involuntary. Okay, so our mind, we have two phases of one mind. There's the conscious mind, and there's the subconscious mind. The brain and cerebral spinal system, as well as the whole skeletal system, or the whole skeletal muscle system, is all in the function and under control of the conscious mind, because you have three types of muscles. Okay, there's the smooth muscle, the cardiac muscle, then there's the skeletal muscles. Okay, your skeletal muscles are the ones that move the fingers. They are the ones that allow the body to move certain things, and in these skeletal muscles are these small little motor units known as motor units. Okay, so when you consciously think of a movement, okay, like moving our fingers, the brain is sending out electrical signals down your spine, okay, and your spine is sending it all the way through these motor units within your body, and then it shocks these motor units, and those motor units in turn shock the sarcomeres, which are the functioning units of the muscle, shock your sarcomeres, and they cause your muscle to contract. It's all electricity. It's all electricity. You know, you're sending out electrical signals all the way through, causing you to move, and then when you feel things, it is taking it in through electrical signals, sending it all the way back to the brain. That's how your conscious mind begins to interpret what it is feeling, because it is being picked up by the brain, and the mind interprets what the brain is picking up on. And then the subconscious is part of the involuntary. Your heart, your digestive system, your smooth and cardiac muscles, all of that is part of the subconscious mind. That is very, very interesting. That is very cool how he just mentioned that. And then he says, the involuntary functions are under the control of the principle of health in man, and are performed in a perfectly healthy manner so long as man thinks in a certain way. The voluntary functions of life are eating, drinking, breathing, and sleeping. These entirely or in part are under the direction of man's conscious mind, and he can perform them in a perfectly healthy way if he will. If he does not perform them in a healthy way, he cannot long be well. So we see that if a man thinks in a certain way, and eats, drinks, breathes, and sleeps in a corresponding way, he will be well. The involuntary functions of man's life are under the direct control of the principle of health, and so long as man thinks in a perfectly healthy way, these functions are perfectly performed. For the action of the principle of health is largely directed by man's conscious thought, affecting his subconscious mind. Wow, that is very, very cool. Man is a thinking center, capable of originating thought, and as he does not know everything, he makes mistakes and thinks error. Not knowing everything, he believes things to be true which are not. Man holds in his thoughts the idea of disease and abnormal functionings of conditions, and so perverts the actions of the principle of health, causing diseased and abnormal functionings and conditions within his own body. In the original substance there are held only the thoughts of perfect motion, perfect and healthy function, complete life. God never thinks disease or imperfection. But for countless ages men have held thoughts of disease, abnormality, old age, and death, and the perverted functionings resulting from these thoughts have become a part of the inheritance of the human race. Our ancestors have, for many generations, held imperfect ideas concerning human form and functioning, and we begin life with racial subconscious impressions of imperfection and disease. This is not natural, but a part of the plan of nature. The purpose of nature can be nothing else than the perfection of life. This we see from the very nature of life itself. It is in the nature of life to continually advance towards more perfect living. Advancement is the inevitable result of the very act of living. Increase is always the result of active living. Whatever lives must live more and more. The seed lying in the granary has life, but it is not living. Put it into the soil and it becomes active, and at once begins to gather to itself from the surrounding substance, and to build a plant form. It will so cause increase that the seed head will be produced containing 30, 60, or 100 seeds, each having as much life as the first. Life, by living, increases. Life cannot live without increasing, and the fundamental impulse of life is to live. It is in response to this fundamental impulse that original substance works and creates. God must live, and God cannot live except as God creates and increases. In multiplying forms, he is moving on to live more. The universe is a great advancing life, and the purpose of nature is the advancement of life towards perfections, toward perfect functioning. The purpose of nature is perfect health. The purpose of nature, so far as man is concerned, is that he should be continuously advancing into more life, and progressing towards perfect life, and that he should live the most complete life possible in his present sphere of action. This must be so because that which lives in man is seeking more life. Give a little child a pencil and paper, and he begins to draw crude figures. That which lives in him is trying to express itself in art. Give him a set of blocks, and he will try to build something. That which lives in him is seeking expression in architecture. Seat him at a piano, and he will try to draw harmony from the keys. That which lives in him is trying to express itself in music. That which lives in man is always seeking to live more. And since man lives most when he is well, the principle of nature in him can seek only health. The natural state of man is a state of perfect health, and everything in him and in nature tends towards health. Sickness can have no place in the thought of original substance, for it is by its own nature continually impelled towards the fullest and most perfect life, therefore toward health. Man, as he exists in the thought of the formless substance, has perfect health. Disease, which is abnormal or perverted functions, motion imperfectly made, or made in the directions of imperfect life, has no place in the thought of the thinking substance. Wow. The Supreme Mind never thinks of disease. Disease was not created or ordained by God, or sent forth from him. It is wholly a product of separate consciousness, of the individual thought of man. God, the formless substance, does not see disease, think disease, know disease, or recognize disease. Disease is recognized only by the thought of humanity. God thinks nothing but health. From all this foregoing, we see that health is a fact or truth in the original substance from which we are all formed, and that disease is imperfect functioning, resulting from the imperfect thoughts of man, past and present. If man's thoughts of himself had always been those of perfect health, man cannot possibly now be otherwise than perfectly healthy. Man in perfect health is the thought of original substance, and man in perfect health is the result of his own failure to think perfect health, and to perform the voluntary functions of life in a healthy way. We will here arrange in the syllabus the basic truth of the science of being well. There is a thinking substance from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. It is the life of all life. So this original substance that he keeps talking about is the life of all life. It is in all. It is through all. It is perfect health. It is perfect love. It is perfect harmony. It is perfect everything. And a thought in this original substance produces a thing that is imaged by the thought. That is the second formula that he gives us. In man, us, as a thinking center, we could formulate thoughts in our own original substance. Because we are all created in the image of God, we are all one with God. We are all part of this divine intelligence. Man's mind is the universal mind, although our mind is limited to the extent of this body, this creature we are living in. Our real, true, higher selves is unlimited, because once we pass out of this body and as energy, consciousness, as spirit, we simply leave the body, return to the source, and then to prepare for our next stage of development, our next life. The Alpha and the Omega. We all learn that energy can never be destroyed, and it was never created. It can only change in form. Likewise, with you, we can never be destroyed, and in a way we are almost never created, because we simply always were. You know, it's very interesting how that all works. That God always has been, and He always will be. That is how eternity exists, and we are all part of this eternal source. We all stem from this eternal source, and once we pass from these mortal bodies, we simply return to our eternity, our state of eternity, our immortality, I guess, in a way you could say. Okay, in thought, as man being a thinking center, whatever thoughts we think, we embody that form, we produce that form, we become that form, and we go on to create that in that external world. Okay. The thought of a form in this substance causes the form. The thought of the form in this substance. Whatever thoughts you think, you create the form. Because man himself is the original substance, embodied in a physical form. Okay? And whatever thought we take, we produce and embody that form. The thought of emotion produces the motion. In relation to man, the thoughts of this substance are always of perfect functioning and perfect health. There is nothing your body can't do, literally. You have trillions of intelligent cells that all know what they're doing, that all know how much food that they need. When you eat, your intestines, they literally go through the process of digestion, and then it is in the small intestine. Once the food is broken down through the stomach, it goes into the small intestine, and once it gets into the small intestine, all the nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream. And the bloodstream goes on, carries it out to every cell in your body, and then each and every cell in your body takes what it needs from the blood. It takes what it needs. It doesn't just take things, like, we'll grab this, okay? It says, we need this, and we're going to take this, okay? This specific cell needs, some sugar. Okay, this cell needs sugar, and then this cell needs protein. So only this one's going to grab the sugar that's in the bloodstream. Only this one is going to pick up on the protein. Okay, they're all intelligent, and they all have their own functions. Man is a thinking center, capable of original thought, and his thought has power over his own functioning. By thinking imperfect thoughts, he has caused imperfect and perverted functionings, and by performing the voluntary functions of life in a perverted manner, he has assisted in causing disease. There's also one thing I want to say too. Man shall not eat by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from his mouth. Remember, back to our I amness, okay, our affirmations. Okay, I am healthy. I am well. Just keep affirming good, nice, healthy statements, because our words have power. Okay, Jesus the Messiah emphasized that strictly. All the metaphysical teachings talk about the power of the word, and it's magnetic forces. Besides, it takes this whole video I'm making and everything that you guys are getting out of it. A lot of my words are showing the expression of what it really is that I am trying, this message I'm trying to convey. These words that I am speaking, they have power, they give certain emphasis, they give a certain type of degree to your type of understanding of what it is that I'm trying to convey, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's even science now. Go ahead and look it up. Go ahead and look up the power of sound. They literally show how okay, I want to share this experiment with you really quick. They did this science experiment. They had one glass of water they had 2 glasses of water, okay, they were both frozen. But one glass of water, the guy would say, speak not so good things to the water, okay, it would tell the water, it would curse the water, okay, say a lot of bad things and mean things to the water, okay, and then the other cup of water, he would say loving things to it, hey, I love you, and hey, you're so beautiful, things like that. And literally, these 2 glasses of water, after a while, they showed the impact that what he was saying to the water did to the structure of it. For the one that he was telling that he loved and had compassion for and was beautiful, this water created a beautiful design within the frozen. The ice created a beautiful design, and then the one that he cursed at a lot, it was cracked and it wasn't very nice, and it was looking, not very appealing to the eye. Likewise with you, okay, your words have power. I'm sure you know when somebody says something to you, okay, or if you accidentally say something that somebody else doesn't completely like, the conditions and the situation of what that specific thing created, okay. Your words have power, okay. Always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind. Another thing I want to add onto that too, some people talk to their plants. I talk to my plants. I have plants, okay. I like to grow, okay. It's a flower, it's a part of life, okay, and when you talk to it, it actually grows better, it grows more, it hears you, it hears what you're saying, it really does. Okay, let's continue. Okay, we're almost done, we got 2 more paragraphs. If man will think only thoughts of perfect health, he can cause within himself the functioning of perfect health. All the power of life will be exerted to assist him. But this healthy functioning will not continue unless a person performs the external or voluntary functions of living in a healthy manner. Remember, carbs, protein, fruits, vegetables, okay, no fast foods, none of that stuff. It's okay every once in a while, but if that's what you're eating nonstop on a daily basis, you're literally destroying your body. Literally, your cells build up off of everything you put into it. So only put in good things so you can live a healthy, clean lifestyle. You could feel healthier, you'll think healthier, you'll be mentally healthier, you'll be physically and mentally better. It's amazing. It is amazing. Okay, and the last one. Man's first step must be to learn how to think perfect health, and his second step to learn how to eat, drink, breathe, and sleep in a perfectly healthy way. If a person takes these steps, he will certainly become well and remain so. Okay, that is the end of chapter 2. And wow, that was actually a little bit longer than what I thought it would be. And it was actually a lot longer than I thought it would be. And if you actually made it to the end of this video, I want to congratulate you, and I also want to thank you for even taking the time to be here with us. If you liked it, please subscribe, and also please share. And now we gotta go because we got some shopping to do. We got a few goodies to pick up. We gotta get our bananas, we gotta get our apples, we gotta get our chicken, we gotta get more rice, we gotta get our vegetables, and most importantly, we gotta get our cereal. Nothing's better than cereal. With that being said, I'll see you guys on the other side of the galaxy.